All right, so here we have the profile of a particular user that's logged in, and what I wanted to explore is how to manage the relationship between one object and several objects associated to that one object. Right. So in this case, we have one user associated to many websites, and this can then be replicated or reused. These ideas will be able to use not only between users and website, but websites and pages, pages and widgets, right? So how is it that we encode that relationship in the database, right? Typically, in a relational database, we would do that by storing each one of these entity instances in each individual table, right? And then having foreign keys and primary keys referring to each other, so that a children objects that are part of the whole refer to the whole, right? So, for instance, the websites would refer to their users, pages would refer to their websites, and the widgets would refer to their pages. So that would be the common way to implement it in a relational database. Here too, you can do it that way, using somewhat similar ideas of foreign keys and primary keys, but since Mongo is an object store and not necessarily a record, a flat representation of the data, but it can represent hierarchical data. It doesn't necessarily have to use only the foreign key, primary key implementation. You can actually embed objects inside of each other. In this case, you could embed widgets instead of pages. As opposed to having a completely different collection of widgets, you could embed all the widgets inside of pages, and that might be actually a better implementation for the use case of being able to sort widgets. Right? It's easier to sort an array, right, where you can have an embedded array of objects, which they and where arrays maintain an order, a particular order, right? The 0th position, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. That's easier to sort than having records that live in separate collections, right? Where the collection of widgets contains all the widgets, right? Including of all the pages of the entire website. So sorting that is much more challenging. Now, whether you choose to represent objects either embedded as in their parent objects or as separate collections, that's an architectural decision, and let's discuss that. Right. In this case, here we are going to talk about websites for a particular user. In this case, it's this user right here. Okay. Currently there are no websites for this user, and we have to decide whether we want to store the website embedded in the user or as its separate collection. Okay? It depends what the use cases might be. For how do you want to treat the list of all websites? Okay? Do you want to be able to treat all the list of websites all by themselves, regardless of who the parent user is, the owner of that website, or does the website have no meaning outside of the context of a user? Okay, so for instance, a website maybe might make sense to treat it as an individual object, right? That has its own collection, just like a user. Users, it makes sense to have a separate collection of users, so that a system admin could perhaps manipulate or edit or administer each individual user. Same thing with websites. Perhaps an administrator might want to administer individual websites, irrespective of who the owner is. Okay? But what about pages? Would a page make sense to have it be able to manage a list of pages? Maybe not, right? Maybe that's a little bit too granular, right? That I just want to see a list of pages outside of the context of their websites. Maybe that makes no sense. Unless perhaps you might want to decide that perhaps I want to reuse a page from one website, maybe reuse it in another website, right? Or two websites have references to the same page. Maybe that might make sense. Certainly, widgets makes no sense to outside of the context of their page, right? So perhaps widgets is a good candidate to decide to have it only embedded inside of a page, instead of its parent page. First, let's look at treating websites in its own collection of websites and relating it to their parent user, right? So let's do that first. So here we have the a profile, and I'm navigating to the list of websites for that one user. Right now there are no websites. If I create the website, I'm not sure what the original implementation was. Probably it's using. Let's see, what is it using? Website list component. Let's see. Views. Let's see. Look at websites. We have site list. We have the components here, and we have a select, delete, create. It looks like it's going to the server. It is going to the server. Let's look at the implementation of create website in the service. It is going out to the server. There it is, right? And it's being handled by a service that responds to API user ID website. That's how we create the websites. Let's see. On the server side, we have website server. There it is. So here's our post, right? That presumably creates the website. How does it create it? Let's see. It pushes it to a local array. Yes? Right, so instead, it's supposed to store it in a collection in the database. So let's work on this create website and see how it relates to the parent user. Okay, so let's do that. Let's look at that. First of all, we'll need to create a schema and a model for the website. Okay, so let's do that. Here in models, we'll create a directory where we can work on the website schema and model. Okay, so let's create first a schema. So this is going to be website.schema.server.js. And let's implement the schema for this here. So we'll need to first grab a hold of Mongoose. We'll require Mongoose. Then we will declare our schema. So this will be website schema. And we'll use Mongoose to do that, right? So this is schema. And we'll describe what a website is made up of, right? So websites, I believe they have a name. And let's keep it simple. And they have a description. So description string. They might have other things like visits, number of visits, visit count as a number. But let's keep it simple. Let's keep it with just name and description. Okay. Well, once we've declared our schema, we're going to export it so that it can be used in other modules. So we'll do module exports website schema. Okay. Once we have that, we can now create the model for this, right? So we'll create website.model.server.js. And for this, again, we'll need Mongoose. So let's grab Mongoose, and let's also grab the schema we just declare, right? So this would be website schema. It's in the same directory, so it's website schema. There it is. Oops. Now that we have this schema, we can implement the website model. Will be mongoose.model, and we'll name it website model, right? Declared on the schema, website schema, meaning it's going to be validated. Any new instances of websites are going to be validated against that schema. Okay, and so let's implement our very first API for being able to create a website. So it'll be website model.create website. I'm declaring the model, the function. I'm adding it to the model because I am about to export it, right? I'm going to export it so that others that load this module will have access to the functions declared here. All right, so there it is, and I'm going to export it. So modules.exports equal website model. And we're going to implement the create website right here. Website. It takes as argument a website, a new website object. Okay. So the implementation would be very simple. It would just be website model dot create the website, and that stores it in the database. Right? That's all. That's the only implementation we need to do to go out to the database. Yes? Right? Now that we have it implemented here on the server, we can go back to the website service on the server, which is pretty sparse. It doesn't really have much. It just, oh no, I think that's the widget. I thought we had one for the model website service. There it is. There it is, our create website, right? This is what's coming in from the client, right? The post. This is mapped to the post here, right? There it is. It's mapped to this post right here. That the client is sending this post. So we need the user ID. Yeah, we got that. We'll need the website object, right? That's the new object, the new website that we want to create. The ID, we're not going to create the ID because the database is going to do that, right? The database is going to set the ID. We set the developer ID so that it points back to the parent. So that needs to be in the schema. That needs to be here. We forgot that, right? So let's put it back we'll go back to the schema, and let's add developer ID. So the developer ID is going to be a string. Okay. Okay. So it's going to be user ID, and we're going to push it. So this push is pushing it to a local array. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So this is where we are done here, right? So what we want to do here is store it in the database. So let's do that. We'll need to load the website model from here. Let's load the website model that we just implemented. So this will be the website model that we just implemented down in the other directory. So we're going to require it, and this will be, we're going to go up one and then down to model. Oops, and then down to website and down to website model. There it is. There's our website model. We loaded it. Now we can use the website model and call create website on it. Yes? Right, so let's go back to our create website here. And instead of pushing it to a local array, we're going to go out to the database. Website model dot create website, and we're going to pass the website object we just updated. Right? This is going to go out to the database. The database is going to return a promise that we can register a callback here, and hopefully this will be the new website object that has been just inserted into a database. Okay? All right, and let's just return this. Let's respond with the new website. Let's send it back to the client. JSON website. Okay? All right. All right, so let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Let's restart the server. Let's come here. Notice that in the database, we only have collections user and user model. User models was because, remember, we never overrode the name that we want, the name of the collection we wanted our user model to use, right? So actually, we forgot to do that for the website. Let's go back to the website schema. Right, and override the name of the collection we want the mongoose to use. We want it to use the name website. Okay, so that's the collection where all websites are going to be stored. Which currently it's not there. Right, we only have these two collections, user and user models, in our database. All right. Okay, so let's restart the server, and let's refresh here, and let's create a new website. And so website 1. Create website. Let's see what happens. In our console, what happened? Did this go out? We didn't put a breakpoint. Let's see in the network. The network looks like went out. There it is. There's our put that went out with the website ID, the website name. And I'm not sure if it made it to the server. Let's see if it created a collection. Okay, so it didn't seem to create the collection. So let's put some breakpoints so we can follow along here. Let's go to the service. Here's our create website. This is where it would come in. And let's put a breakpoint here on the way out. And let's go into the model to see if we hit this create website. Let's try that again. Let's refresh the page. Let's type some bogus value. So create website. Okay, so it makes it out to the server. It does make it out to the server. Let's step through this. Let's see if we got a website object out of here. Okay, we have a name, right? We have a bogus name. We have the user ID. We have a user ID. There we go. Let's continue. Let's go into the model there. Okay, let's see the website object that we are about to insert into the database. Developer ID. There it is. We got the name, and presumably it would go back to the service here, but it didn't go into the service here. It never made it here. So there's some error, somewhere between the mongoose and the database. Something happened, so it never got to this then here. See that, right? So how can we handle errors? How can we know what happened? Well, the then here that's handled in the promise takes two arguments. The first argument is the function, is the happy function, is a success function, right? If it was successful inserting this in a database, that's the function that it would call. Yes? Well, we can provide a second function, the sad function, okay, where it's going to provide us with an error message, right? So the database would call the second function if there was any errors thrown by the database, okay? So we're going to do a console log in the error, see what happened. Let's put a breakpoint there too. So let's try this again. Let's refresh the page. And let's try it again. Create website. All right, so let's see. Let's continue. Goes there. And let's see. Let's continue. And it didn't hit our error either. Let's see. What happened here? Response. Did it go out here? Website model. Website model. It's mongoose model. Website schema. So probably, it did make it here, didn't it? Did I do a return? I did do a return. And I have this create, so it went here. It didn't go there, so we have the console. Somehow I got my breakpoints wrong. Let me restart this. Did I restart the server when I put the... I don't remember. Let's try it again. Create website. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, no, I had not restarted the server. That's why my breakpoint was weird. So here's my error. We can look at the error and let's see what it says. Website model validation ID cast to object ID failed. Okay, so we are passing an ID when we shouldn't be passing an ID because the ID is going to be handled by the database, right? So let's not do that. Let's stop here. Somewhere in when we pass in the data from the client, we are populating an ID. Where are we doing that? So let's create website. Not there. How about in the component? Where is the component? Let's see. Where do we have the component? So it's, I believe it's here. Website. Oh, it's when we create it. When we create the website, a website over here, we are providing an ID for this. Okay. Okay. So what we might want to do is that when we get to the server, we might want to make sure that we've removed that ID in the first place. Right. So let's go here, and we want to make sure that we remove that. So we're going to do the delete website _ID because I don't want that ID. I do not want that ID. Let's try it again. Okay, let's continue. Let's see, we have a website. Okay, and indeed we have that _ID there. See that? And Mongoose is complaining that that ID is a bad ID, right? It's trying to try and interpret it as a valid ID. Okay, I removed it. Let's see if it's still there. Okay, it's not there. Okay, let's go in. I'm going to create it. Okay, now it's coming back in the happy path. and it says that a new website was created. We can see the document here that was created, and indeed it has an object ID that was created for it. And then we can go like this, and it'll go back to the client, and we can take a look at the response from the server. This is what comes back from the server. A new website was created. Its developer ID, notice that it has it there, right? So it's presumably referencing the user who created this, right? And we have the name, and we have the new ID of created. And let's see if we made it into Mongo. Notice that there's a new website collection there that wasn't there before, right? And we can query it. We can say db.website.find, and that's the new website we created, right? We can print it. It has the developer ID, the name, and everything. Yes? Everybody okay? All right. So apparently the component, the website list component, I think, yeah, there it is. So apparently there was a list that iterates over all the websites that were rendered under the under here, right? Presumably it's supposed to be listed here, right? But currently it's not implemented, and that's because it used to be that our old implementation was that we pushed it, right? We pushed it to the list of all websites, and then we responded with all the websites for that user. See that? Right? We don't currently have that implementation. Right? So let's do that next.